Hey everybody, it's Chris Lote here. In this screencast, I'm going to show you how to do a little bit of art on the app Pages. That is one of the standard word processing apps on all Apple devices. I am using my iPad. This can also be done on the computer, but I'm using my iPad because I get to do a little drawing with my finger or with my Apple Pencil. Now this can also be done in Keynote or any other most other sort of drawing tools. I'm using Pages, and many of these concepts that we're going to look at are familiar with different drawing apps on the iPad. We're going to create just a little bit of a scene, and first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the background part of the photo. So in here, I'm going to tap on the plus sign in the top right, and the plus sign allows me to add different elements to my page. And you can see there's lots of options down there. Also at the very top, you can see we can add different spreadsheets or charts. There's different objects, and then also different multimedia. I'm going to click on the objects, and I'm going to scroll along to the very first tab, which is the basic tab. Now here you can see I could add some text. This is where we can just add a text box on Pages, but I'm just going to simply add a square. And I'm going to move that square over. There we go. I'm going to move that square over to the corner. I'm going to enlarge it, and this is going to be sort of my foreground of my image. And so it's kind of like the ground, and the very top of that rectangle is going to be the horizon line. Now, one of the cool features in Pages is that I get to change the color of this, and so up in the top right corner you can see the paintbrush icon. I'm going to tap on that paintbrush icon, which is the formatting icon, and you can see I've got style, text, and the arrangement tab. But I'm going to click on style and the fill option. If I click on fill, you can see it's just a preset color of black. I can have a lot of different colors, gradients, and also I can fill it with an image. But I'm going to use the gradient feature. And my start color is at the top and the end color is at the bottom of my rectangle. I can also change the angle of that as well, but we're going to leave it at 270. So the start color, I want maybe a sort of a beigey color, and then I'm going to go back, and then the end color at the bottom, I want a darker color, so maybe there. Now if I wanted to, I could customize that. I'm going to flip over to the second page, and you can see I've got the two little dots at the bottom of this color palette. That means there is a second page there. I'm going to slide there, and I can actually customize this a little bit more. Maybe I want a bit more gray in it, so I'm going to move this top slider, and you see it'll combine the brown and the gray, and then I'm going to fill it with that. So that's the sort of the gradient that you can apply to any object on here. Now I'm going to add a similar shape, a rectangle again. And let me see, oh there we go. I'm just using my finger. And so this is going to be my the sky. So right where those two lines meet, of course, is the horizon. And again, I'm going to use the gradient. I'm going to go quickly with this one. So fill, gradient. Maybe the start color might be that blue, maybe a little bit lighter, or a little bit darker. And I'm going to play around a bit with this, maybe make it a bit more of a stylistic kind of thing. So maybe I'm going to go with purple at the bottom. All right, so there's my sky and there's my ground. Now I'm going to throw in a mountain. So I could draw the mountain, but actually I'm going to go here to the plus sign, and there are different tabs up here. I'm going to click on nature, and you can see that there's some mountains. There's two different kinds of mountains, even a volcano, but I'm going to click on this one with the peaked mountains, and I'm going to move it roughly here and then make it a bit larger. Now one thing you can do, so you see how when I increase the size, even if I grab, doesn't matter what handle I grab, it's going to resize it proportionally. If you don't want that, if you wanted to maybe make these mountains taller than wider, you would go into the format option, click on arrange, and right in the middle there's this constrained proportions. I'm going to turn that off. So I'll turn it So it's this one here. I'm going to turn that off. So this way I can actually make my mountains a little bit skinnier and a little bit taller. So I can move it like that. There we go. So I can sort of change the width and height of that. Now if I wanted to leave it, I've turned the constrained proportions on. So again, my mountain, I want to change the style of it. So I'm going to fill it again, use the gradient, and perhaps do something at the bottom, and maybe very dark blue at the bottom and maybe a bit lighter up at the top. Maybe there was a little dusting of snow. Another thing I can do, I can tap the plus sign. I can also do a little bit of a drawing on here. And if I tap the last tab, the multimedia, you can see right down near just above equation, there's drawing. So I can add a little drawing. And so it's going to open up almost like a drawing window. And I'm going to draw a cactus on here. Whoops, I'm not using the right tool. So I'm going to go, oh darn. There we go. I just used my undo and redo button. So I'm going to click on the marker. I'm going to make it, we'll make it black. I'm going to draw a cactus. Here we go. Do my best here. Because we all know cactus plants are very imperfect. Let's go right down to the bottom. And then I want to fill, so I'm going to click on the paint tube, and I want to fill it with black. There we go. All right, and then at the very top left, I'm going to hit done. So there's my cactus. Now I want to move this. Now you can see, because I've done this a little bit later, it is now going to be in the foreground. And I'll show you how we can change that a little bit here, but I'm going to maybe make it a tiny bit smaller. If I tap on it, you can see there's options here. I can copy this, and then with the beauty of technology, I can make one here that sits over there. And of course, it looks a little further in the distance, so I made it a bit smaller. Okay, one last thing I want to add here, maybe add a little bit of a river. So I'm going to go back to my shapes, and there's the river. I'm going to add that. I'm going to put it here. Maybe make it a little bit larger. And of course, we want maybe the water to be a bit bluer. So we'll go fill, gradient, and so there's a very bright blue. Now remember, one of the things about art is that distances or objects in the distance are a little bit lighter because, of course, of all the particles and things in the air that you have to look through. So often objects in the distance will be a bit lighter. So we're going to make this the end color. We're going to flip these two. So the, or no, sorry, no, we don't want to flip that. Actually, I want my end color, which is at the bottom, to be a very dark blue. And maybe the start color, which is at the top of the image, maybe not quite so blue, maybe a little bit lighter. Maybe we'll go with that shade there. All right. So there is the river. Now we got a bit of a problem. The river, of course, should not be in front of the cactus plant. So we can go to arrange, and you know I'm going to arrange the river because I have selected that. You can see the handles around that. Go to arrange and move back to front. That's a bit of a slider. So if I move that, I'm going to move it in behind different objects. And if I keep going, you see I've moved it right in behind the actual land. So I want it in front of the land, but behind the cactus. There we go. So we have added our river. Now, of course, a cactus would not be living right in the river. Maybe we'll just add that right there. There we go. Makes it a little more realistic. And then, of course, you can add different elements. Another thing that you can add is actually pictures from the internet. So I'm going to open up my Safari browser, and you can see I'm going to add the picture of a moon. So there's a couple of options here. I've found a picture of a moon. I'm going to do a long press on that photo, and I can copy that image. I could also long press it and add it to my photo album. So either way works. I'm going to get out of here and go back to my image in Pages, and I'm just going to paste that picture of the moon. There we go. Make it a tiny bit smaller, of course. And we've got that. Now you can see we've got a bit of a problem in that we've got the border of the photo around the moon. We can remove that using a tool called Instant Alpha, which is built into most of the Apple tools. So I've selected my image, I click on my paintbrush, I go to the Image tab, which is the middle one, and you can see there's Instant Alpha as an option. I click on that, and what you will do is drag across colors on the photo to get rid of them or make them transparent. So I'm just going to drag across the black a little bit, and I've gotten rid of the black color, thankfully not on the inside of the moon, and then I hit done. So there's my moon up in the sky as a transparent image. So that's another kind of cool feature in any of the Apple apps. The Instant Alpha will get rid of a background in your photo. So there you have it. I'll do a little bit of digital art. There's lots of other options, but one of the neat things, though, to do remember is that you can tap that, and there's lots of these images that we can recolor. The default color is black, but we can change the color of those objects that are added inside your photo. Thanks for listening, and have a good day.